Hey guys, I thought today maybe I would reintroduce myself to you. Hey everyone, it's Dora from flippinghouseandpancakes.com, and I realized that I have a lot of new followers here and not everybody knows kind of my story, how I got into what I do and what I do, of course. So I thought, why not do a little reintroduction and let you know a little bit about me. I'm going to start by saying my name is Dora Sagan Kohanev. You can see my name on the front cover of my cookbook, Flipping Houses and Pancakes. And I am a mom, a wife, and of course I also love cooking and I flip houses. There you go, I flip pancakes and I flip houses. So how did I get started? I'm gonna go way back in history, way back, and tell you I was in college. I got a degree in geography and a certificate in geographic information systems, which is similar to computer mapping. I also took some hand-drawn mapping courses and things like that. I got married, I moved to Baltimore. I was from the Midwest. I moved to Baltimore and I never got a job in my field. Oh well. And then I was a stay-at-home mom. I had 5 kids. They are grown up now pretty much. I've got ranging from 10 years old all the way to 21. And I was a stay-at-home mom doing stay-at-home mom stuff, taking care of the kids in the house and the cooking. I did a lot of cooking. I enjoyed doing a lot of cooking. And one day my husband, who managed apartments for a living, he came home and he was like, hey, I have this kitchen and I'm replacing the cabinets that were there. And I already know which cabinets I need, so that's not a problem. But I need to draw it out so the guys who are installing it know where to put each cabinet. Do you think that's something you could do? Because maybe hand drawing maps wasn't the greatest thing, my husband's greatest skill. So I was like, yeah, I could draw that nicely. I just use a piece of graph paper and I'll pretend like it's a map and I'm gonna draw it. So I did that and I drew it out on a piece of graph paper and I realized, oh wow, this is kind of neat. Kitchen, you know, drawing a kitchen, that's fine. And I did that a few times for him. So about 11 or 12, I'm gonna say 12 years ago, we decided it was time to replace our old horrid kitchen. And we hired somebody to draw us a new kitchen. Okay, great. Paid them, hated the design. Hated it. Didn't have everything I wanted. It didn't utilize the space the way I wanted it to. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do a little bit of research. And maybe, since I've been drawing these apartment kitchens, maybe if I know enough about it, I can draw my own kitchen and come up with a better layout. And I sat there and I drew and I drew and I started over and over until I finally got a layout that I really liked. And in the end, we decided to build it. Came out beautiful. You've seen that kitchen. I cook in that kitchen on all my videos. And there is a video where I give you a tour of my very first kitchen that I designed, which is the kitchen that I cook in upstairs in my house. So anyhow, that was the first full kitchen that I designed. I didn't just draw it for somebody, but I designed it. Then I had a friend who loved my kitchen and she had to redo her kitchen. Her kitchen was even worse than my old kitchen. And so I was very excited that she was redoing it. She asked me for help and I said, okay, I'm gonna try. So I drew it. I knew exactly what she wanted. She told me all the things that she was really hoping to fit in her kitchen. And I drew and I redrew. And I think I did about 15 designs, 15 hand-drawn designs, each one like a brand new slate. Starting from the walls, and I drew her kitchen, and insanely enough, she decided that she was going to actually build that kitchen. And I'm telling you, to this day, I still think she was crazy. I gave her like a hand-drawn map, like a hand-drawn layout, and I kind of sketched what the cabinets would look like, or maybe what the island looked like. There was no way she knew what her kitchen was going to look like when it was done. There was no way she knew how functional it would be. I told her it would be functional and she just believed me, which was really, like, that's a lot of faith. her kitchen's awesome. So it was so much better than her old kitchen, and she still cooks in that kitchen to this day. So that's kind of how I got my start doing kitchens. And then my husband and his business partner, they started to do a little bit of house renovating and flipping. And they came up on a project, and they were like, hey, I really need some help with like picking paint colors and things like that. And if you go back genetically, maybe I'm predisposed to having that kind of in me. My grandfather was an interior designer who did like stadiums and hotel lobbies and things like that. But anyhow, so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll come pick the colors, and that sounds like fun. Would pick the tile, pick the color. Got to the point where they were like, we're building an addition. Do you think you can help us like figure out, or we're relaying out the walls inside the house and then eventually onto additions. And so it got to the point where I bought some software, and I essentially taught myself how to, essentially I map houses, I map the layouts, I map the kitchens, I do the whole house, everything, additions, to the point where I submit my designs to an engineer for certain stuff, and then they go on to the planning board for zoning and permits and things like that. So we've gotten all the way up to the point where I'm designing full houses. They're not usually completely from scratch, because I usually have some sort of outline of where the current house is, because we do flips and not new builds. And that's what I do with the house flipping. With the cooking, obviously I was home, I did a lot of cooking, I love to experiment with food. And I'm the type who doesn't want to eat the same thing every single week. I like to try new things. I like to have a wide variety of menus that I cook. And I've done like big things, big events. I cooked for my son's bar mitzvah. I can't even tell you how much food that was. I've cooked for a lot of events, baked for a lot of things. So one day, this is how my cookbook comes about. Just so you know, I'm not a chef or anything like that. But one day when we were sitting there in lockdown back in 2020, you know what I'm talking about, just losing our minds. So that was great. We were sitting there, and one of my kids was like, Mom, your food tastes so good, you should totally write a cookbook. And I'm like, I did like what everybody lost their mind at that time period, and I was like, you know what? I should write a cookbook. I could do that. I have some really good recipes. And so I decided to write a cookbook, and I started, and I tested recipes on my family. A lot of them were recipes I already had, but I didn't know the exact amounts I was putting in things. So much stuff. And I started to work on a cookbook, and I was just gonna plow through it, which was great. Once I get my mind on like a project, like let's just do it. So I started to write a cookbook. I actually got in contact with a cookbook author and spoke with her a little bit about what my next step would be, and she was like, social media. Now at this point I had zero social media. I think I had a Facebook account because I wanted a coupon one time or something. I had no friends on Facebook. I had no social media whatsoever. I wasn't on anything. And so I was like, okay. And I found Instagram, and I decided I'm going to start with Instagram. So I started an Instagram account, and I started posting some of the food that I was making or some of the things that I was doing, because I figured I need to get people to know who I am so that I can share my cookbook with them when I'm ready. So I started my Instagram account, which very quickly fed into a Facebook page as well. So I have an Instagram and Facebook at this point. And then I was doing some research, and I had heard that Pinterest was a really good place for authors to be, so I added a Pinterest account. I eventually went on to add, I opened a website. I have a blog on my website, so if you haven't seen that, you definitely should. And eventually I moved on to adding a YouTube channel here, and I'm also on Rumble. So I went from absolutely nothing like 5 years ago to having Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, Rumble, a website, a blog. I have a newsletter I send out once a month. So much social media, so much connectivity, but it's really fun. But sometimes I'm really, really busy and my videos don't happen. So Sorry about that. If I miss a video one Sunday, it's probably because I was just ridiculously busy and I ran out of time. So I'm sorry about that. I apologize. I'll try to keep them coming. Anyhow, so I started all those. I eventually I ended up self-publishing my cookbook, Flipping Houses and Pancakes. If you don't have it, you definitely should have it. You can order it on my website and you can order it on Amazon. It is super fun. It's got a bunch of my kitchen designs and kitchen design tips in here. It even has a few of my full house flips, and you can see what the houses look like before, and you can see what the houses look like after and during, and I talk all about what we did in that project, in each of those projects. So this is a really fun cookbook. It's also made for people who are like either busy moms or beginner cooks. Even my kids, I really made it for my kids. So they're easy to read, they're easy to make, they taste delicious. My kids eat everything in these cookbooks, so you should just know, they eat everything. It's really good stuff. You definitely need to get yourself a copy. I ended up making myself, I have a little notebook that you can work on your menus in, and I have a notebook that you can write down recipes if you want to make recipes, or if you hear a good recipe from a friend. I have notebooks like that on Amazon as well, so you can find those too. So I did that. My YouTube channel, of course, when I do the cooking videos, I'm cooking with you guys, but I'm really cooking for my kids, so that if they can't remember how to make something and they want to see me make it instead of just hearing me make it when they're reading my book, because I wrote it so it kind of sounds like I'm talking to you. That way you and my kids can all see me make the recipes and make them with me on video. So that's why I started my YouTube channel, really. And that's how I got here, which is pretty crazy. Nowadays, now I homeschool my kids, my younger kids. I have 3 that are graduated from high school already, so I'm not homeschooling them. But my younger kids, I still homeschool them, and I run a homeschool program for a bunch of the kids in the community. And so that keeps me very busy during the day. I recently got into something called shidduchim, which is matchmaking. That's been keeping me very busy. So between those 2 things and occasionally working in my business, in our rental management business, and when I'm working on house flips and renovations and things like that, plus just having a family and cooking and all kinds of things, parents, in-laws, the whole thing, I keep very, very busy. So like I said, sometimes I don't get around to videotaping, but I do love it when you guys have something that you want me to film for you. I love showing you all the work that we do in our projects, and I love it when you see how we go from like a terrible house to something that can really be lived in, and it's just like bringing it back to life. That is always exciting, and teaching you how to cook things, or teaching you different things about cooking in general. So if you have something that you would like to see, or you would like to learn about that I can help you with and I could do a video for you on, make sure to comment down below. Let me know what you want, and I will try my best. I'm not going to promise, but I'm going to try my best to make some videos for you about those subjects. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've been enjoying my channel. It's been really lovely to reintroduce myself to you. Remember that if you want to know whenever I post a video, you should make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you get the notifications. Every time I upload a new video, you'll find out. And don't forget to check out my website, flippinghousesandpancakes.com.